This week I learned that absolutely no one was surprised by my book of the year. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update, guys. The last for 2023. It's been a great year, and I have enjoyed consistently doing weekly updates every single week this year. It's always just a highlight of the week because I do love to make these. But another fun week to kind of close down the year, guys. We'll begin like usual with talking about the What Am I Reading? I finished reading Fool's Quest right before I decided to record this. So I had one of those days today, those nice vacation days where I read for a couple of hours. We watched a movie, which I'll talk about later, and then I read for a couple more hours, and I wrapped this bad boy up. And like all Robin Hobb books, third act, just awesome stuff. So I didn't like this one as much as Fool's Assassin, but I still liked it quite a bit. I gave it a 4 out of 5 on Discord earlier. And yeah, I will occasionally do that on the Discord. I won't do it on Goodreads because, watch that video about, is Goodreads good or bad, for why I stopped rating books over there. But anyway, with this, I think I had some problems with some character inconsistencies. There's a particular character in this that's just acting completely unlike themselves. It didn't really feel to me, and I've had a lot of people, on the Discord try to explain to me, hey, well, this is because this and this and this. And look, I get that. I don't need that explained. I understand that. I'm just saying I didn't really buy it. I was having really a hard time getting past that. But, again, I feel like when the book's this good, you are, obviously grading on a curve a little bit, I think, and nitpicking just a little bit. But to me, if my favorite thing about her books are the characters, and I feel like there is a character that has been one speed, for the first 90% of this series, and now is just completely acting different. I'm going to call it out. Now, it's part of the plot, and I get that. I just don't like it. That's all. But again, the book really, really good. I love how she's tying things back in, finally, with Lightship Traders and some stuff from Rain Wild. That's really good. I love seeing Fitz go full-on berserker rage in this. I've been waiting for that. Like I said last week, guys, I feel like we've been waiting for the assassinating to happen in these assassin books. I think you're finally getting that, and it's really good stuff. But, I can already see the tragic stuff that is headed my way, and I'm pretty sure there won't be a dry eye in the house when I get to Assassin's Fate here pretty soon. Started One Piece Volume 22. I don't know if that's where I was last week or not. I keep starting this too late, and I'm falling asleep. So I don't really have enough of it read, really just a couple of pages into it to really discuss anything with it. But I will have, volumes 22 and 23 going this week as I try to finish that up. That's a good place to start, guys. Go ahead into what I'm going to read. Obviously, 22 and 23. And I think that ℙ𝕦𝕤𝕤𝕤 goes somewhat into volume 24, but not the whole thing. And then I'm going to be taking a little bit of a pause on One Piece in case you did not see my my January TBR video. I did talk about this, is that I'm going to be putting a pause on that because Philip and Murphy and I are going to be collaborating on some One Piece material, and Philip hasn't started yet. So I want to let Philip catch up because Philip and I have been reading the Realm of the Eldlings together, and it's been a lot of fun. We get to text back and forth and have this, similar experiences at the same time. Instead of, I remember when I read that, months ago, I think. So I will be kind of pumping the brake here and letting Philip catch up. And then when we get an actual schedule for all that stuff together, I'll let you guys know. But it's very, very exciting for me, obviously. Philip and Murphy have been talking about manga for a while. And they're letting me crash their party to talk about One Piece. And I'm just ever thankful that I did receive that invite because it's very, very exciting stuff ahead. But I'll be doing an ℙ𝕦𝕤𝕤𝕤 review on my own like I did with East Blue Saga here relatively soon. So I've got a couple days before the new year rolls over. So am I going right to Assassin's Fate? Not quite. I'm going to read Volume 1 of Blackwater. That was the plan here. It's really not. It's about 100 pages. I feel like that's something I can do over the next couple days before I start on Assassin's Fate on the 1st. But I'm very excited to get into Blackwater. This was one that I was supposed to do in Spooky Season Volume 1, but I knew my schedule was going to be so back heavy in the year trying to wrap everything up. I said, why don't I do this? And I'm going to do one volume per month over the next 6 months. As I said, I do try to litter in a little bit of horror all through the year now. So it won't be just Blackwater, the first half of the year, but I will be doing those in 6 straight months, January through June. But I think I'll go ahead and do that now because I do have such a heavy reading schedule at the beginning of January, starting with Assassin's Fate. I'll probably be doing this and Shogun kind of concurrently, and I think part of that is because I've reached the I don't want this to end point, I think, maybe. So I think for the next couple of weeks, really, I'll be doing Assassin's Fate and Shogun. If you didn't watch that schedule I released, Shogun is just going to be parts 1 and 2, so I feel like, I can kind of balance. This will be about similar length. This will be a little longer, I think, than that, but Shogun, I think the font's a little smaller, so there's that. But yeah, I've come to it at last, the end of a 2+ year journey with the Realm of the Elderlings, and I'm very excited because, like I said, I feel like the last 2 books have been just what I wanted. I think, inconsistencies aside, I'm still having a great time with that series, and I just know now that we are wrapping into some live ship traders things, which I love. I love the live ship trader so much. That's really cool. And now I can tell people when they tell me, hey, can I skip live ship traders? Can I skip Rain Wild? No, you do need, I think you need those now because there are things being mentioned in here. You'll probably be like, okay, whatever. But I'm saying they do help. They will help quite a bit with some stuff that happened in the last book. And I am assuming in this book based off where book number 2 ended. But it's going to be very, very exciting at times here on the channel. It's going to be very, very sad. Like I said, to say goodbye to these characters. But like I said in my top 10 books video I did recently, I am happy that I didn't do the ending of this and The Expanse at the same time like I'd originally planned to, because I don't think I could have handled the bittersweet emotional goodbyes to 2 major series, at the same time, because, you very much do feel like, Fitz and ℙ𝕦𝕤𝕤 and all those others are part of the family now. And I felt like that with the ℓ𝕤𝕤𝕤 crew there. So I'm glad I did space out a couple months between these because you need it. You need it a little bit, I think, when you do get, you will inevitably get attached to characters after you've read, 15-ish books of a series. It's gonna happen. It's expected. And like I said, Shogun Part 1 and 2. That leads me into, guys, this week on the channel, I did my January 2024 TBR, and it is just kind of a little bit of a Frankenstein in it because I'm doing Part 1 of Blackwater, like I talked about, Volume 1 of 6, and I'm doing Parts 1 and 2 of Shogun, which is of 6 parts. So it's one of those things where I didn't want to get to a point where I felt like I was not going to read anything else, and also I didn't want to feel like I was rushing Shogun because that's a massive book. It's my hardcover is 1,300 pages, so I want to make sure I'm not rushing that and feeling like, okay, I think any book, no matter what it is, around page 800, you start feeling like, okay, I'd like to visit another world at this point. So I thought breaking it up that way was the best. When I had my Malazan read-along, I had it spaced out over 2 years, and I let other people kind of pressure me into speeding that up, and then everybody quit. So I don't know how many people are going to be reading Shogun with me, but I felt doing it this way would help anyone from, getting discouraged, that they weren't able to read it all in 1 month. We could do it over 3 months. If you don't want to wait, you don't gotta, that's cool. But if you do want to kind of break it up like I'm doing, I do describe it in that video, as long as some other things that I'm going to read in the month. It's going to be a fun month, I think. Some really cool things coming there. And then, of course, my big one for the year, my top 10 books of 2023. Yes, if you are a constant watcher of the channel, my number 1 book was not a secret. I talk about it quite frequently. In fact, I feel like most people knew what number 1 and 2 were going to be, especially if they watch these weekly updates. I feel like you're probably going to know because I talk about those 2 books kind of at length all the time. I constantly bring up how great those 2 books were. But hey, I think 10 through 3 might be surprised. I also had 6 honorable mentions on there, but they were brief honorable mentions. I didn't pull the Brian, but Brian's awesome. His video, his wrap up for the year was pretty dang good. Check that out if you haven't. But yeah, narrowing it down to my top 10 books was quite difficult this year because there were just some really banging books I read this year. And there was one point where I had my list in stone, and then I read a book in December that cracked that list and maybe had to kind of reshuffle things around. So, I feel like maybe I should be doing that video in January, but I knew that Fool's Quest, while I liked it, it was never going to top my favorite Realm of the Elderlings book, and I do only 1 book per author on that list, so I wasn't worried about it crashing that party, really. So I went ahead and did it here at the end of December. But Always a lot of fun. Always a lot of good feedback. A lot of people have said they're surprised I didn't put Empire of the Damned on there. Well, guys, that is a 2024 book, so it will be eligible for next year's list. Even though I have already read it, I still will be counting that by publication date in 2024. So I know that seems kind of weird to some people because, a lot of these books didn't come out in 2023. It's not like I'm doing it that way. That's just what I decided to do. I figured it would be fair, and that'll be a book I feel like is on everyone else's list in 2024. And I'd like to kind of just put it there just to keep it in the stream of consciousness for myself here when it does come out here very, very soon. As for some next week plans, guys, I do got some year-end stuff still to go. I am going to be doing a year-end live stream tomorrow. I will be doing that after the Texans game, which is around 3:30-ish Houston time, unless there's overtime or something like that. That's usually about 3 hours for an NFL game. That's my plan, is really to do that from, for a couple of hours, just depending on you guys. I might have the thing where I have an open invite to some other prominent booktubers that might want to pop in or pop out. But it'll just be, usual AMA, like always. I haven't done one in a few months, and I always like to do one at the end of the year. Crossed 107,000 subscribers a day, so kind of look at it like that. It'd be like a mini celebration and just kind of the end of the year, as we always do. It's a lot of fun to do those because I get a chance to talk to you guys, one-on-one. You get to ask me anything that you want, and I try to answer the best that I can. But maybe we can get some conversation going with some other booktubers. I'll also be doing my wrap up for December and my book of the month. Again, if you guys are watching this, you probably know what my book of the month is going to be. If you watch that top 10 of the year, you probably know what the book of the month is going to be. But I still want to give it a moment to give it its shine because it was just a really, really good book. And I always like to look back, with all this year-end stuff, you get some stuff that gets a lot of views. And it'll be interesting to look back at what my most popular content was for the month of December. It's always fun for me to do a monthly wrap-up and to get to name my book of the month, my last one for the year, before I compile them all together and look at it in my year-end wrap-up sometime in January. And then, guys, I will be going back into the multiverse. I brought this up in my disappointments video that even though I was taking a break on Stephen King rereads for now, that I felt like I really dropped the ball not continuing with doing Into the Multiverse. And I said I forgot about all those Richard Bachman books. But before that, guys, I forgot. I still have 2 books from 4 Past Midnight to do, Sundog and Library Policeman. So I think I'm going to do Library Policeman next week, and then I'll follow it up relatively soon thereafter with Sundog to kind of wrap up 4 Past Midnight. That was one that was like, people didn't seem to be very interested in me doing 4 different videos for that the novella collection. So I just decided to kind of abandon it halfway through, but I still kept my intro that I did for it on my computer this whole time in case I ever did go back for it. And I think Library Policeman is one that's just really seriously underrated. I had it on my scariest Stephen King books. I think a lot more recognition should be put on it. So I can't wait to talk about that one. I think Sundog's pretty underrated myself because I've always kind of found Polaroid cameras a little creepy. And maybe it's just because I watched Insidious and it made Polaroid pictures even more creepier than they already were. So I want to talk about Sundog as well. So I'll be doing those both probably relatively close together, maybe January, February. I don't know. But I will be doing the one for Library Policeman next week. I do have some quick TV and movie talk stuff before I go. I did mention that I read Fool's Quest. We watched a movie and then we watched Fool's Quest. Well, we're going to be watching Rebel Moon tonight, and the way you guys are just keep bashing it and telling me not even to bother with it, my expectations for Rebel Moon are so low now. I figure I'm probably going to end up liking the movie. We'll see. We'll see. People hating a Zack Snyder movie is nothing new. I always feel like I go kind of unpopular opinion on Zack Snyder movies. But with this, a lot of the stuff I'm hearing, like a lot of people I trust are usually kind of saying, yeah, it kind of feels like it was written by ChatGPT. But I'll report back on that next week when I watch it. We watched Blackberry, the movie Blackberry from 2023. It is obviously a story about what happened with the very prominent smartphone, Blackberry. And this is one of those that I really did like. Very much made me think of The Social Network, the movie about Facebook, but obviously with the smartphone BlackBerry, because I'd always wondered about BlackBerry. It was like, how in the hell did they have such a stranglehold on the smartphone market and just disappear? It wasn't just the iPhone. There had to be more to it than that, and I figured that movie did show a lot of it. Now, a lot of that stuff, is going to be embellished, and I've kind of looked it up after the fact. A lot of people that were actually portrayed in that movie said, no, that isn't accurate and stuff, but, it gives you a nice idea of kind of what happened and how they went from nothing to like humongous overnight. And then, poor management just, sometimes you don't have the right people in charge, and that can happen. But an excellent movie. If you like stuff, I love movies like that. I watched Air earlier this year. I love that. I love things like that, about how a company kind of rises to prominence, can kind of sputter out or come back, rise and fall. That stuff to me is just so fascinating. As a business major, as a marketing minor, I find things like that incredibly entertaining. But great acting all around, and it was just a really entertaining movie. I think you'll like it quite a bit. I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend watching it in front of the kids, just because there is a ton of bad language, ton. But outside of that, if you cuss around your kids, it probably won't bother you very much. I'm married to a redhead. My kids have heard everything you can imagine. We did finish Oppenheimer earlier this week too, and yeah, what a shot, guys! Christopher Nolan, another grand slam from the main man. I don't understand how Christopher Nolan can make a movie like this that is basically 3 hours of talking, just dialogue. Besides the one part where they're doing the bomb testing, there's not a lot going on the screen besides just straight dialogue. Most of it is just a deposition back in not even a courtroom, and it's riveting. He made it seem so fast paced. The soundtrack is great. I was stunned that it wasn't Hans Zimmer, because Hans Zimmer usually does Christopher Nolan movies, but I forget the actor's, the composer's name, but he did a great job. I love the way it almost kind of sound like you could hear like the Geiger counter in the soundtrack. That was a neat idea. But at first, those timelines will be kind of like, I don't think they're quite like Dunkirk, where you're like, wait, what? Yeah, it did have the weird use of timelines, but once you get what's going on, it's really, really good. And I gotta say, look, Cillian Murphy, amazing. He deserves every award for this movie. He really does. But Robert Downey Jr. was phenomenal. He was a scene stealer every single time he was on the screen in this. He was really, really good too. So it's it's no big surprise that Christopher Nolan, again, for me, besides Tenet, I've loved every movie this guy made. I didn't hate Tenet. I just didn't get it. I just didn't get Tenet at all. But other than that, it's like, this guy is automatic. That's why him, DV, and Quentin Tarantino, no matter what they put out, it's like, say less. I'm buying a ticket now. Now, we didn't get to see Oppenheimer in the theater. It's harder when you got kids and stuff. But we're glad we got to watch it, and we both did enjoy it quite a bit. We did re-up Disney Plus for 2 months, guys, because my kid was anxious to watch Percy Jackson. And I was like, okay, he's this excited about it. I'm hearing good feedback. Why not? And I've got to say, guys, I'm impressed. I'm impressed by just how faithful this is to the source material. Now, I know Rick Riordan is working on the show. I don't know how much he's in the writer's room. He might be in there for all I know, but it's very, very faithful, guys. I mean, there's some casting things that are kind of like weird choices and things like that. But outside that, it's like, it still is the same story that I just read to my kid, this time last year. So it was very, very encouraging. We watched the first 3 episodes. The production value is pretty good. It feels like it's straddling that fine line of being still for younger audiences, but not alienating anyone that's a little older, because I'm enjoying it. But here's the deal, is if my kids are enjoying it, that's who it's made for, and they are. And the kid that plays Percy is just awesome. The actor playing, who I always called Chiron, but apparently it's Chiron. I've always been saying that name wrong. And what else? Mr. D, he's terrific too. So the casting on this has been really, really good. Again, there are some choices I don't really care for, but I feel like the story has been spot on. There's been some things they've cut out, some things they've rushed. They are trying to tell this book in 8 episodes. So I thought, that book was pretty rushed, but even my kid was pointing out some things. No, it didn't have this scene or that scene. And a couple I'm like, yeah, but whatever. There was one big scene with Percy and Luke that they cut out that I'm like, that could be kind of important later. So we shall see, guys, but I'm very, very encouraged. And I just got to thank Rick Riordan for sticking to his guns. They made that bad first movie. And, he got his rights back, and he could have just sold them again for another paycheck, but he held on to them until someone wanted to do it faithfully. And again, I just hope this is one of those things like One Piece where, you have the creator involved, and they're going to say, no, we're going to do it this way because that's the way I wrote it, and I hope they stick to that. But I feel like they have taken out some of the cartoonish elements. Like they had the episode of Medusa, and it was pretty serious, and I liked it. It didn't make it just complete straight cartoon like it might have in the book a little bit. So I think they're doing a good job of that, of making it still feel like it's for young audiences, but a little more serious. And I like that quite a bit. So quite happy with it so far, and I hope it keeps up that energy. But like I said, in the end, guys, this is made for my kids, and my kids love it. And the people who grew up with it seem to really be enjoying it as well. So again, I'm hoping that this can be kind of like the Harry Potter for that generation. I cannot wait. Don't have much for gaming talk, guys. I did get my kids Super Mario Wonder for Christmas. And what can you say, guys? Nintendo just does not miss when it comes to their first-party IPs. Mario games, even the worst ones are always still a lot of fun. And this one has to be the most fun I've had with a side-scroller Mario, God, in a long time, since maybe like Super Mario World, because you can play 4 players, so all 4 of us get to play at the same time. It's so much fun. It has these things where you get like this seed, and it makes everything kind of trippy, and it'll like change camera angles, and it'll change like from side scroll to like an overhead view. It's just wild. It's like Mario on LSD. It's just crazy, but it's so entertaining. And yes, while it's challenging, it's never to the point of it's just unfun, I think. And I love that they gave the option to have, say you've got a younger kid like I do that's playing with us, where your character is basically invincible. I think it's cool. You play as Yoshi, you can basically be invincible. You don't get the power-ups, but you're basically invincible. And that's really, really cool, so he's not getting frustrated, like all of us are when we can't make a jump at the same time. But another amazing, amazing job by Nintendo. They put out banger after banger with their first-party titles. That's why Nintendo, as a console company, will never go away, because they're never going to sell Mario or Zelda or Donkey Kong. They're never going to get rid of those first-party IPs, and they always make sure that those games are just incredibly awesome, and they are doing that still. And I'm quite happy with Switch overall as a generation. Has been very, very impressive. When I admit, guys, I laughed my balls off when they revealed the Switch. I thought it was a horrible idea. Horrible idea. And not only has it been amazing, it's basically made the Game Boy almost like non-usable now. It's because it's not going to be as pretty as the Switch is. So I was thinking about the other day. I was like, whatever happened to the 3DS and all that? Do they still use it? Like, that pretty much made it moot. It's not useful anymore. So I'm hoping maybe they someday come up with, like, they had the Super Game Boy where you could put those cartridges inside a Super Nintendo and play them on your TV. Hoping they do that with 3DS games. They put a little cartridge you can put in your Switch and play your 3DS games on there. That would be really, really cool, because I still want to play Link Between Worlds as a big Zelda fan. But guys, that was my week. It's been a great, great week. I hope you guys had an awesome Christmas. Hope you got everything that you wanted. I hope your kids had a great time. Hope you had a great time. And you got to spend a lot of time with loved ones and getting a little R&R before 2024 kicks off here. So guys, I hope you'll join me tomorrow around 3:30ish Houston time for my live stream, year-end live stream. Anything you guys want to ask me, anything is on the table, even who is my favorite new kid on the block. That's always a fun question to ask, right? So guys, drop in the comments, let me know what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you are playing, and I will talk to you there.